Learning to set limits in your relationships can be challenging, but it's also a powerful and necessary step. Jesus set limits with the crowds and even with his disciples to protect the priority yes of his life, his relationship with his Father. In this next session, I'll share ways to respond to people or demands that want control in your life. Enjoy. I think something important that we'll be covering in this segment is really how to set limits. How do you communicate limits? What is it coming from? What is a right motive? What is a right frame of mind when you're communicating that I'm separating levels of access amongst people I care about? You know. In Acts chapter 6, there's a scene where the apostles have been walking with these new converts, and the day of Pentecost is poured out, and there's thousands of people that are added to the church. And one day you see the apostles come out. I just imagine it being Peter that's talking. He says, "I just want everybody to know that, we've been waiting on tables. We've been, listening to you guys for quite a while, and we're not going to be doing that anymore. As a matter of fact, we are going to be praying and studying. That's what we're going to be doing. We have some other guys, though. Stephen, come here. Here's Stephen. Stephen and his friends, they will be taking care of the tables from now on. They'll be waiting on you. These are really good guys." And you can just see, people out in the audience, there's just one guy sitting at the table. Peter, excuse me, you mean you're not going to be waiting on all their tables anymore. You're still coming to my table, though, right? Nope, sorry. None of the tables. Praying, studying. That's all we'll be doing. We're apostles now. Oh, you're all apostle now. Oh, you're too good for us. That's what you're saying. Well, fine, buddy. I've been here since the upper room, okay? I'm not one of these new people. Whatever, fine. You go do what you got to do. Me and my family, we're going to go to well, there is no other churches yet, but as soon as there are, we're going, yeah? When you set limits with people, don't expect them to be happy. People, when you separate out who has access and who doesn't, don't expect people to jump for joy. They're not going to be jumping for joy, especially if they got bumped a ring, right? People aren't going to believe that you can set a limit. They're going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming. So when your no is a no, it's going to be tested. And when your yes is a yes, it's going to be tested. So let's talk a little bit about what do we do when people have access to our lives that they're not very careful with that access? They're not very careful with the responsibility of being this close. We have people that sometimes they're close to us and they get disrespectful. They get irresponsible. They abuse the place that they have with us. Well, remember back in chapter 1 where we talked about triangulation. We talked about triangulation where people want to pretend that they're a victim. I'm a victim because somebody is violating that spot that I've given them. And so instead of confronting that person, setting a limit, I began to go, this person is a bad guy. This person's a bad guy. And so in flies from wherever a rescuer. Now, how many of you have ever seen the Trunk Monkey videos? If you haven't seen them, just jot that down, Trunk Monkey, and watch these videos. These are hilarious. There's a guy who's stuck into, he must have offended a driver, and this guy cuts him off, and he gets out of his truck, and he's this big, looks like a, truck driver or something. And he comes over and he's yelling at this guy who's sitting in his car like, oh. And the guy's like, what? You want some of this? And he's screaming and yelling. And the guy's like, oh. And he puts his handkerchief up on the windshield or the window so he can't see him. Oh. The guy's, what? You get out of your car. Come here. And then finally he reaches over and he pushes the trunk monkey button. And his trunk pops open. And this monkey gets out of the back, comes up behind the guy, and knocks him out with a crowbar. And the guy's, and he's like, all right. And he high-fives the monkey, says, back in the trunk. And this is that triangulation thing where I got this big, terrible person in my life. I don't know what to do with them. And I just pray, Jesus, be my trunk monkey and come take them out. And you know what? Here's the truth. Jesus isn't going to be your trunk monkey. You're going to have to confront people. You're going to have to tell them the truth. You're going to find out the strength of your connection with people as soon as you tell them the truth. I know it seems acceptable to create kind of a mirage set of relationships because we don't have any conflict. Well, there's an excellent chance that if somebody is violating the relationship and they still have this mirage relationship, it's because you're not telling the truth. You're not telling them the truth. So when we talk about setting boundaries, when we talk about what a boundary is something that keeps in my life what I want to keep in my life. So what do I want to keep in my life? Well, I want to keep my joy. I want to keep my peace. I want to keep my love. I want to keep my time. I want to keep my money. I want to keep things in my life. So imagine that you have a toddler and you want to let them out in the yard to play. Well, you had better have a boundary. You'd better have a fence to keep them in, or else they're going to just keep on going until they find danger, huh? So boundaries keep in your life what you want to keep in. At the same time, they're going to keep out of your life what you want to keep out. So I want to keep out disrespect. I want to keep irresponsibility away from me. I want to keep, time-consuming, high-maintenance relationships. I want to keep those away. There's things that I need to keep out of my life. So the same fence, the same boundary that keeps the toddler safe and keeps it in is the same fence that keeps the Rottweiler away from the toddler. So the boundaries keep in my life what I want to keep in. They keep out of my life what I want to keep out. They communicate priorities. And by priorities, I mean my time, my energy, my resources, and my relationships. These are what my boundaries are going to keep in my life is control of my time, control of my resources, control of my energy, and control of my priority relationships. These are what boundaries do. So when we talk about setting limits, this is what I mean. I mean keeping in, keeping out, and protecting my priorities.
From the perspective of leading other people and parenting skills, even from when we were parents of young children, some of the resources we use, the tools, strong-willed children and stuff like that, and I used all of that. But this is a kind of a paradigm shift of not trying to control your children, but realizing that self-control and bringing that out and just allowing them to control themselves and just the different role of a parent. It has just helped my perspective so much.
Now, likewise, we're going to have some skills that we're going to have to develop. So there are going to have to be some things that we look at differently, we think about differently. Because if you're having a hard time setting a boundary in your life, it's probably because of this first one. And that is, you're going to have to learn to require respect for things that are important to you. And if you're having a hard time valuing what's in your life, then you're sending a message to people around you that there's nothing required to come take it. Kind of like that building that has no windows and so no doors. That building is sending a message to everyone who walks by, nothing's required to have a relationship with this building. And so if you're unable to say no and mean no. Because you feel guilty, because you feel like it's selfish. It's I did have some money, and I just didn't want to give it to that person. You know, I said yes when I meant no. I remember a guy who had a pickup truck, and he got a bumper sticker, and he put it on there. He said, "Yes, this is my truck. No, I won't help you move." Like, right? I mean, he stuck it right on there and just said, there. Because why? Because when you have a pickup, what everybody who needs to move goes, hey. And so just because you have a pickup does not mean you went into the moving business. But some people are there's an opportunity for me. You look like you're affording me an opportunity because you got a pickup. No, I didn't. No. But if you don't value your time, if you don't value your priorities, then anybody, and if you live in a church community, there's lots of somebodies. There's lots of people that need to move, right? So they go, hey, I was wondering if I could get you to help me move. Sure. I have a birthday party tomorrow with my daughter, but maybe I could do it afterwards. Well, what time's the birthday party? About 10 o'clock. Well, let's move in the morning. Well, tomorrow's my day off. Mine too. How about 6 o'clock? In the morning? Yeah, I'm an early riser. Okay. Hey, I'm a little short on cash. Could you fill it up with gas before you come over? You want me to pay for the gas? Yeah, if you could. I mean, it's a nice truck. I'm sure you can afford it. Okay. See, if you don't value what's in here, then the demands from the outside will be directing you like a video game. So you need to learn how to communicate the value that you do have by the no that you have, by the yes that you have. These are speaking the truth in love. This is speaking the truth in love. I'm telling you the truth because sure is a lie. And then I think I'm powerless. And then I'll be blaming him for why I was late to my daughter's birthday party. And now I'm in trouble with my wife. But it wasn't my fault. I mean, I can't believe that guy asked me. I can't believe that guy asked me to move. Can you believe he asked me to move on my daughter's birthday? I can't even believe he asked me. Believe it. There's lots of pickups in the world. Yes, I'll help you move next Wednesday. Oh, I got to be out by Saturday afternoon. Dang. What are you going to do? Well, I was going to ask you to move me. How'd that work out? My truck's busy that day. You have that kind of power. You have that kind of no, that kind of yes. Learn to require respect for what's in your life and communicate it through how you use your yes and your no. Get good at telling other people what you're going to do instead of what they have to do. Remember, you don't control anybody else. On a good day, you control you, right? So this is where you stay powerful and you let other people know what you're going to do. I will be glad to help you move on Wednesday. My truck will be available Saturday afternoon. if you can find a driver that I know that I would trust my vehicle to, which is another way of saying, not you. I will let you know what I will do. I'm not going to try to tell you what you have to do. Well, you have to be really careful with my truck, and you have to bring it back on time, and you have to put gas in it, and you have to, because how much control do you have over any of that? No. I'll be glad to let you borrow my truck. I'll be glad to help you move. Here. I'm going to tell you what I will do. I'm not going to tell you what you have to do. And please understand that it's your actions that mean something, not your words. See, over and over, what happens in our relationships is that we mean to say yes. We're gonna say yes. I wanna say yes. Be careful, because I'm gonna say yes. I'm this close to saying yes. Guess what you haven't done yet? You haven't said yes. How do we know that you said yes? Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're protecting. That's what you're communicating is important to you. And so it's not your words that people believe, it's your actions. What changes relationship is your actions. The first time you say to someone, I'll be glad to finish this conversation as long as it's respectful, as long as it stays respectful. They're not going to believe what you've said, because it's not true yet. So when you say, I'll be glad to finish this conversation, no matter how upset you are, I understand, as long as it stays respectful. Now, that person that is struggling with being respectful when they get upset is going to have a different experience of you as soon as you leave the room because the conversation was disrespectful. There's this amazing thing that happens. Everywhere your feet go, your ears go with them, And so it's an amazing thing. When you leave a room, your ears get further and further away from that person's disrespectful mouth. It's really helpful. It's really helpful. Now, the next time this exchange begins, and the person who's having a struggle with their respect level when they get upset, when they hear another, I'll be glad to finish this conversation as long as it stays respectful. They have a memory. They think back, wait a second, okay, last time they said this, they actually meant it. They actually did it. Now I have a different response to you, because I want you to stay in the room, because I want to finish this conversation. I would like to get some closure on this. And so the practice, the behavior, the actions, that's what changes relationship. Not your words, not your threats, not your tears, not your begging. It's your actions. So when you set boundaries, please be prepared to take action, to back up what you set out there, to communicate with behavior, not simply threats or being upset.
God brings healing into every area of life, brings healing into your body. He can bring healing into your marriage. He can bring healing where you think all hope is lost. There's so much left. I think 25 years, and yet there are people who've been married 50. You've got 25 years more to go. You've got to fix it. You've got to, you can't just, the thought of that would probably leave people just in such a place of desperation if things weren't going well in the marriage and want to check out. But you see what happens when people do walk away from marriage. It's never really the answer. You just take the same problems into the next relationship. So never underestimate the power of God to come in and bring complete restoration into a marriage.
Just because you set boundaries doesn't mean you don't care deeply for people. Boundaries are one of the best ways to communicate love and value to those around you. Remember, people believe your actions more than they believe your words. So the more consistently people encounter the boundaries you've set in your life, the more they can trust that it is you that manages your life. The time, energy, access you give them communicates true value in your relationship. So keep your love on and set firm, clear boundaries.